Welcome to People Like You. Almost 2 years ago, Michael and Dana Bryant were in this studio describing to our People Like You audience ventures into new ministry territories. Their testimony of redemption itself gives us courage and hope, but their persistence in the face of obstacles makes their story even more significant. And the organizations they have founded, well, they speak for themselves. Don't go away.
I've been to San Quentin numerous times. It became my home, actually. But it's actually a place of refuge now, because that's where I met the living God. And you cannot come in contact with Jesus and stay the same.
Welcome back. Approximately 2 years ago, Michael and Dana Bryant were right here in the same location, describing for us a direction they felt God calling them to within the San Francisco Bay Area. Now, I will admit I thought they were perhaps a bit ambitious, but I could see the calling in their eyes and the energy in their footsteps, and could not wait to see the results of their labor. Today, both Michael and Dana are with us. We've asked them to refresh our memories a bit on their testimonies, then update us on their ministry venture, Crossing the Jordan. Thank you for both being with us. You are incredible people, by the way.
Thank you.
How are you doing? To start with, how are you doing?
Well, blessed is actually an understatement. We're actually learning some of the spiritual principles of reaping or sowing and reaping, and that when you give and give and give, that God really does fill you up. Pressed down and shaken over.
My answer was amazing. So I heard that on a TV show this morning. And I'm glad today that when I see that on TV to encourage me, that I can actually say that is my life, and that I can get up every morning and say, amazing, that my life is amazing.
That's so cool. And I hear about your ministry all the time from various areas. So I know it is a successful ministry for the Lord, so I want to hear about that. But I want to hear about your marriage. I want to, kind of fill me in on that. How are you doing?
You know, I was witnessing to someone just this morning, and it's interesting because she's a non-believer, of course, and I was witnessing to her, great opportunity, and she goes, all I want is a marriage like you and Michael. And she's really spent only an hour with us. Oh. And I said, well, it does have its moments, but we do have an amazing marriage, and we keep short accounts when there is trouble, and we have an amazing pastor who makes sure we keep short accounts. Wow. So marriages work, and we work at it, and we have definitely found each other. The only problem that arises is that we're identical. Well, so what could, he's my twin.
That means like double energy.
Yes, they're super energy.
Yeah, both of us are pressing the gas pedal in the car. But
yes.
we get to immerse ourselves in ministry, but we work together.
Yeah.
So there's no lack of husband and wife time. Wow. We're together all the time, which is actually I go to bed at night and I go, geez, thank you, God. Yeah. Even in the midst of little husband and wife arguments that happen, there's still this joy that can't be taken away.
It's dialogue. I call it dialogue, husband and wife dialogue. Yeah. Tell us about your adorable children. I think Jacob's here today.
Jacob is here today. And our oldest daughter, who those teenage years were rough, and she's 18 and she's starting to like me now. And she kind of always liked him, but I'm feeling like she likes me now a little bit more.
Good.
On her way to FITM in San Francisco. And our youngest is 5 years old, and Jacob is 8 now, and waving to us over there. And he, they're raised up in the ministry, and through such sacrifice of sharing their parents with so many people. I really don't know, I'm partial, but any more well-rounded children as ours, willing to say, I'm last today, knowing they're sacrificing for other children that haven't had as much.
Well, all three of them work with us.
Yeah. Wow.
So.
Well, I want to hear more about that. You know, we're gonna involve a little bit about your testimony, because that's so much a piece of this whole thing. I think it would be difficult for people who have not met you before to understand that you were both in prison for some pretty heavy crimes.
Yes.
Can you tell us?
Well, we were saved.
Your crime first.
Okay, I'll go first.
Your crime first.
Well, I did about just a little over 13 years in state prisons, and just was trying to get it right. But I met, been to San Quentin numerous times. It became my home, actually. But it's actually a place of refuge now, because that's where I met the living God. And you cannot come in contact with Jesus and stay the same. Although I kept falling numerous times through. Each time I fell was a different experience that I learned, where he'd finally I was done with my schooling there, so to speak.
We're ready.
Yeah.
So pretty much when you found Christ, your prison days were behind you.
No.
Okay.
No, I found Christ, and I went to prison 5 more times after that.
Before you got it right.
Yeah, I had this misconception that now that I was a Christian, my life was going to be roses, champagne was going to be falling from the heavens, all that, and that's not the case. You meet Jesus, and that's when the problems start. But some of the
Good
fabulous
point. Very good
things
point.
are is that He's walking beside you through those problems, and I didn't learn that till about maybe 5 or 6 years afterwards, and then it started to make sense, because you meet him, and then you engage in the real battle.
Yeah.
Well, some of the great things were, Dana and I look back on our prison experiences stuff, is that we didn't know each other, but in prison at the same time, the same month, 2 different prisons, we hadn't known each other. Same year, same month.
May 1999.
We both got saved.
The same month of there is no other explanation than Jesus. And for me, I didn't go back, but I was young and spent a lot of time there. And the girls that we'll talk about later often ask us, where'd you get all this? And you get alone in a cell with Jesus, and he raises you up.
Yeah.
It's real. And so we're blessed that we did so much time. We look back on those, and we have these moments, husband and wife alone after some great victory, and we're like, it all makes sense now. We were getting trained up, that it was a boot camp, and yes, we wish we didn't in some ways take that route. I have no regrets.
I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, except for, the people we hurt along the way. We have remorse for our crimes, but the training up that he used for us is really profound, deep, and we never forgot it. It was embedded in us so much so that it wasn't an easy, that was a part of my life. It breathed an enormous amount of compassion and love, and never forgetting where we came from. And so, having committed such crimes, of course, as a woman, how do I sound, not judging men, but I don't know, it's a lot less common for a woman to do so much time. I was in federal.
Well, there's still a unique person or lady that's hurting out there that you can talk to.
Well, the biggest thing is that he uses everything. Now, we often forget the submitting to God part.
Right, right.
We hear a lot of preaching about that, but that was, I think, our important part of both of us. I did stumble when I got out of prison. We didn't get the submitting to God part, and so once we learned to be obedient, then everything started to fall into place. Obedient with a lot of sacrifice along the way.
Right.
You hear people, go ahead.
There's a lot of years of kind of conditioning the other direction, and so sometimes,
the teenage years.
Yeah, and sometimes when God changes a life, it's immediate, and sometimes we don't listen because we have free will.
Yeah.
All right. So there's so much more. But we'll be back. And to make things just a little more interesting, we've pulled some of their interview from 2 years ago so that we can compare them at then and now. When God places a call on your life, he sees it through, so don't go away.
There's nothing like a woman in need that is suddenly surrounded by all these people loving on them.
We're back with Michael and Dana Bryant. So your testimony, how many years were you in?
I served 5 years, plus about 18 months in rehab before, which is kind of rare. I was blessed to be able to get help. So a total of almost 7 years. And I was free on my 30th, right around my 30th birthday. So I was happy to be done with my 20s,
Right.
needless to say.
Yes. And then you met when you got out.
We met a little bit longer. We both were having a tough time transitioning. If I could say anything about that experience, I had a large ministry in prison, spent majority of my time in prison. We had experienced great revival in prison. It was an amazing experience. I woke up and had coffee with my Christian sisters, and I came home and didn't have that support.
Wow.
And reached out, frankly, to my Christian community, and I'm sure there's plenty of women out there that would have embraced me, but I couldn't find them.
Okay.
And so it was a tough transition, and I fell, and I was blessed to not go back. However, I did have to reach out for help. And so both him and I went through that for a few years, and miraculously we found each other. We had, not to go too in depth, but we had both been in the same circles, graduated from the same high school,
I was
and
the band nerd.
he was the band nerd, I was the cheerleader. So we didn't know each other and grew up in the same
Yes.
town, and basically we found each other. God connected us through Craigslist. It's quite a story, not what most would think. I was selling my dryer, and we have been together ever since. So Michael likes to
That must
say
have
that
been
we
a very
were,
nice dryer.
Yeah. So
Well,
then we found each other.
We have a video. I was so moved by the authenticity of your drive and the call you thought you had by the Lord on your life at the very onset of this. And so we've just got a little bit of that video to show when you were talking about this new ministry venture. So let's just see that. Here, we'll be right back.
When I did give my life to the Lord, He did tell me very clearly to go home and build a home for women and children that were suffering just like I was. And so with that, we didn't, so many times I attempted, and I look back and Michael, I had to have met him, the Christian Bee had to have happened, but what it is we are opening homes for women and children in need. There is a great need, specifically in Sonoma County. There's a crisis for a lack of housing for women with children, and that's the important and the heart of the foundation, is that keeping those mothers and children together. Often,
Yes.
The domestic violence, the sex trafficking, the drug addiction, the homelessness, coming out of prison, there is a lack of services that you can have your children with you, especially in Sonoma County.
Wow.
And so the vision is to have an 18-month program. We really believe in a self-sustaining environment, a long-term program. Often they get under crisis control and they go to a safe house, and 30 days later, well, what do you do?
Right.
And so we're creating an environment with the reach from the Christian Bee where the community can get involved. There's nothing like a woman in need that is suddenly surrounded by all these people loving on them. So
And another dream is the milk and honey part of the project.
Actually, that's a reality now.
you
It's not a
may
dream
not
anymore.
know.
Okay, now you guys do move fast.
We got a store. It's actually opening next week.
Honestly, last week he pretty much handed us the keys to a 6,000 square foot.
Wow.
With a coffee shop and a store and a fellowship area, and churches are actually requesting that they could have Bible studies there that's not on the church grounds, that they could have it there,
Oh
and the place isn't
my.
even built yet.
And you're going to sell clothes and other items
Yeah.
to fund.
It's all to fund the
right,
home. And
yes.
what the nice part about Milk and Honey is that God put it right on Santa Rosa Avenue, which if you're from Sonoma County, you know the significance of that. And for us to reach those women that might be struggling, you put the Milk and Honey right in the heart of where that may happen. And so it gives us an opportunity to invite those women, and the secular community will be able to experience Christian apparel, coffee shop, maybe pass somebody doing a Bible study. So it's a little bit more than a thrift store. We're calling it an experience. So that will all fund the homes for the women and children.
Okay, now update us on the ministry.
Well, you know, that 2 years ago, we just got the that 6,000 square foot building, and I thought it was just like the biggest thing. And
well, within a week or two,
yeah.
you sent me photos. You know,
Yeah.
I think we have some of those. You sent me photos of every step. You refinished this whole floor. And that
went and built offices, dressing rooms,
I
the
know.
racks themselves. We actually built on our front porch.
You did this work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And actually, every brick on the whole organization, Dana and I set in place. And today we have. Well, since then, we opened the facility.
Yes.
So people were actually donating couches. Women were coming off the streets, detoxing on the couches in the back room while we're working, doing all
This
that.
is Crossing the Jordan.
Yes.
And now there are
It's
graduates.
a thrift store,
It's
right?
a
We wanna
thrift
okay.
store.
But
It's a thrift store.
while you were setting it up, you were already ministering.
Yes.
So
Well, the motto, the tagline is, you don't have to make an appointment to change your life. Just come in.
Yeah. So, and by nature that God put us in a store on Santa Rosa Avenue, which is south end of Santa Rosa Avenue, is known as the track for prostitution, a lot of drugs. We call it the embassy, right in the middle
It
of
is-
all that.
it is an embassy.
And so we opened the first day and girls started coming in for help. It was definitely the Lord. And we were able to love on them in a way they hadn't been loved on, give them free clothes, reach out to them. And then all of a sudden we were doing the store to raise money for the 12-month program. But we had so many girls, we didn't have anywhere to put them. Since then, we've opened a facility in Roner Park, a 12-bed facility that actually
We have graduates now
now
that are running the
graduates-
store.
Now the graduates run the store.
So they've been in the program how long?
They went in the program 12 months,
12 months,
graduated, and then
They graduated last April.
Okay,
Yes.
So we
all
have
right.
a new
All
set
right.
of girls
New set of
coming
girls.
through. Children, they get to bring their children. So imagine they just show up on the doorstep and say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I hear that you'll help me change my life. And then now these girls are graduates. They have cars. They don't
yeah,
just
they have cars.
They don't
have cars. They have
license, careers. Our whole thing, everything that Michael and
couple
I
are
went
engaged
through.
to be married.
Yeah, we
Oh
have
my
an
God,
epidemic of
goodness.
engagements, godly, pure engagements.
Hold that thought. We have to go to a break. I know there's so much more. Ever think you want to do something great for others? Ever feel what some refer to as a call on your life? Well, people like Michael and Dana, in my opinion, are living examples of faith in action, and I want to be like them when I grow up. More to come. Don't go away.
We have sex trafficked girls, we have homeless, we have drug addicted, we have domestic violence. It all starts somewhere and it manifests somehow.
Right.
So we created a life transformation
All right.
program.
Welcome back. Okay, these girls didn't even have hope, and now they have driver's license.
Yeah.
Describe the girls. These are off the street, probably not educated very much because they
Or their
it
life
depends
took a
upon
turn.
when they got
Well,
on the
they're
street.
educated. They're streetwise.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
So they came in streetwise in survival mode.
Okay.
Not even knowing that there was a God, or even knowing truly what the definition of hope was.
Or some had backslidden. And what our heart's desire is, we feel like some kind of brokenheartedness happens. So we have sex trafficked girls, we have homeless, we have drug addicted, we have domestic violence. It all starts somewhere and it manifests somehow.
Right.
So we created a life transformation
All right,
program is
all
what
right.
we call it, the life transformation
So you
program.
separate them first of all from any.
Oh, the
right.
world, our first
Gone.
thing is get them
Yeah,
out,
there's a
hence
blackout.
crossing the Jordan.
Right.
Get them out of the desert.
Yes,
Get
yes.
them, get the world out of them. And so then we take them through the process into crossing the Jordan to their promised land. So what happens for us with the Life Transformation Program is we hone in on their gifts. So it is a working program, but it's so much more than that, because we get to see what are they good at, what brings them life. And Michael often puts them in a situation and he goes, well, that's definitely not what they want to do.
Well,
because
trial and error and stuff.
Yeah.
And we find out, okay, what did God create you to do? What's your mission? And let's hone in on that. And we have a gift for opening businesses, right? Let's open a business around your gift. And let's give you a
Wow.
career where you have purpose. And
Yes.
so that's our gift. So we get to use our gift to bless them.
Wow.
And today we have A couple stores, Lord willing, in about 3 or 4 weeks we'll open the 3rd store. We have a textile exporting company worldwide where we export about 2 million pounds of clothes annually to third world countries.
We have a 32,000 square foot building, but the most exciting news is recently we have had a waiting list since day one. It is very hard to turn down a mother and child, and so we will do whatever it takes. We've certainly had them in our home many times and try to place them, but the desire is to get what they want to be a part of our program. So we have recently purchased, by the grace of God, a 35-bed facility. We close escrow in a few days. And so
that's beautiful.
Just
Big
keeps
lawns
happening. And we don't look for it.
And that's in the area.
People
You guys have too much energy.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
But it's God, because we don't, we certainly have people that ask us, are you too ambitious? Are you getting, what does somebody say?
They
You're
ask
going
us about
too
our marriage.
slow.
No, they say we're going too far, too fast.
Too far. And I said, haven't people been going too slow, too long? So
we don't
it's
ever,
all perspective.
we should never put
God.
a limit on God's vision for us, ever.
He brings it to us.
I just can't help but think this came out of the time when you looked for help when you got out of prison and there was no help for you.
Well,
is that part of this? Or?
Yeah, the day I was saved, God put it in my heart in '99 that to not forget who you are, what you've been through, and He gave me a vision for all that's come to pass. And it was a long time to birth. I've had people say, do you feel good that you finally gave birth? I go, you know what? It was a long labor, but so worth it. So I never forgot what that feeling was of loneliness, and we both know what that feels like. So we just created a family. We're not a program, we're a family. We operate like a family through the holidays. We cry together, we laugh together, we work hard, we play hard.
We go to Tahoe together.
We just got back from the water slides a couple days ago.
Everybody, we took everybody. We actually had to purchase a bus so we could transport everybody.
The kids and all.
But they don't know what it is to laugh like that. They've had some broken heart for a long time, and so we're blessed to show them the joy of the Lord. Sometimes you don't know how to have fun except for it's that lifestyle, the culture that drags them through.
Do you ever get tired of it when the next knock comes on the door?
Never, by the grace of God.
At all.
It's an anointing. We don't.
And it's not something that you get used to either. There's not the same story. It's a unique person.
It's not a job.
And my heart is it's anew, it's fresh, it's recharged for the battle at hand each time.
Yeah.
We don't have much time left, but think of someone and tell me their story beginning to end.
Fallon.
Real quickly.
Fallon. Oh, okay.
Fallon was a lady. She showed up on our doorstep at the store with her child in a stroller, and she just said, hey, I'm staying at the motel down the street. I've been there for 9 years with my boyfriend, and I need a new life. And she's a graduate. She's getting married August 31st. She's going to get her own store.
Wow.
And I get to walk her down the aisle.
Yeah.
I get to walk her down the aisle. I'm so excited.
Backing up, it's an important piece that she sought help and put her faith in God. He saw that. He had left the two of them, and he said, there's something different. What is happening? And Michael wouldn't let him go near the mother and child until he gave clean tests and committed to purity and all these things. And you know what?
baptized him.
He did it. He's in the men's portion of the program, and they're getting married on August 31st. And they're practicing the purity and the culture
they're
that
pure,
says
they're fresh again.
they have children
new.
together. It couldn't be
new.
And he'll redo. He'll just make it all
new.
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 And these girls get courted. They have to pass, Michael, and just to feel like, what if you were a trafficked girl?
Yeah.
And suddenly somebody told you could be pure again.
Right.
And that you can wear that white dress. God does that,
Yeah.
There's nothing more beautiful to see that come out of those girls, to see that they're worthy of a man
all of that.
that will
realize,
wait.
They realize that
they'll
they're worthy,
wait.
and their standards of excellence are
In a culture
excellent.
that says it's okay to do all this.
Well, I have to tell you that you have impacted a lot of lives, and even people, as we talked about, Francine Rivers says, hey, do you know what's going on with Crossing the Jordan? So thank you for what you do to change lives and continue on. I don't think I need to tell you that.
No.
I can see it in your face.
Thank you.
You're going to continue on.
Yes.
So for more information about the organization discussed today, go to crossingthejordan.org or KTLN.TV. Remember that KTLN is a donor-supported ministry, and we are thankful for the part you play in keeping this ministry ongoing. Thanks for being with us, and join us again next week.